let's see, House Bill 2492, which this should be a no-brainer. I think this has to do with you actually have to be like a citizen to vote.
Right.
What is
it
this?
is a no-brainer.
Why are we even talking about this?
I mean, it's crazy. And those that get hung up on having ID, do they get so hung up about having an ID when you want to buy a beer, or when you want to check out a library book, or when you go through the airplane terminal to go on a trip? You have to show ID everywhere. Why shouldn't you have to show ID for voting? It's just common sense.
Do they give an argument that if you were to just step back and say, let me try to understand the other side, Matt, what is the argument that they're giving that would even make an iota of sense?
Well, there's the key, Jeff. There isn't any of the arguments that make any scintilla of sense, but they still make it. They try to do everything they can to, keep it as easy to cheat as you possibly can. And we're not trying to make it harder to vote. We're just trying to make it harder to cheat. That's all.
It's not hard to vote. And I've had folks from all over the country talk about this. And Arizona is one of the most, should I use the word liberal when it comes to voting? The things are sent to your mailbox. 90% of the state is now voting by ballot,
early mail.
Permanent early voter list. It's never been easier to vote, and a lot of people, and even some in the legislature, are arguing that it's too easy to vote and that we should go back to the polling place and not do so many mail-in ballots. But my point, Matt, is it's never been easier to vote than it is right now in history, the history of our country.
Well, and last time, as you mentioned, Jeff, about 92% of the voter was by early mail, and there's no requirement for any kind of a voter ID. It's just a signature thing.
Yeah.
How easy is that to cheat? I mean, it needs to be a requirement that for any vote cast you have to provide ID. I think that's responsible, and I think it's fair.